Okay, good morning. We are here on the 25th of Kislev. No, the 26th of Kislev, excuse me. Yeah, starting as usual with the Hayom Yom. 26th of Kislev, which the 26th of Kislev in the Hayom Yom was on Shabbos Mevorchim. So first we have a couple of halachas of and interesting things about Shabbos Mevorchim. First of all, Shabbos Mevorchim is a day of Farbrengen. In this Shabbos Mevorchim, we say Tal U'Matar in the Siddur. We light the Chanukah lights after Havdalah, which we'll have that opportunity here next Shabbos to exercise this halacha. Chanukah lights after Havdalah and before Vayiten Lecha. And in Shul, Hanukkah candles are before Havdalah. Okay? Remember, you can turn back to Hayom Yom on Shabbos Mevorchim. Now, here's Hayom Yom, the context of the message from the Frierdiker Rebbe. On Shabbos Mevorchim, when the new month is blessed, Hasidim are to assemble in Shul early in the morning to say the entire Tehillim. Afterwards, study for about an hour a Maimer Hasidus that everyone can understand, and then daven. Those are important words. It should be something that a rabbim can enjoy, and a rabbim can get into, not something abstract that only a few people can understand. Everyone should understand it. The time of the Farbrengen should be set as appropriate to the local circumstances of where they live in material and spiritual success. After concluding Tehillim on Shabbos Mevorchim, Mourner's Kaddish is said if there is a yortzeit or a mourner, and Mourner's Kaddish is said after each of the 5 books of Tehillim. Okay. Lessons in Tanya, we're holding on page 69, the top of the page. In the classical Tanya, we're holding on page 14. 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down. Okay, I think the posturing this day on where we've been, the most important thing is Elisheva Kirschenbaum actually raised a question, which I answered, about there are 2 aspects to, we're talking about midas particularly, 2 aspects to a midah. There are 2, we thought maybe at the initial that we were talking about one opposing the other like Hesed and Gevurah, but we said that no, every midah and every sphira and every koyach, which is the spheres, the 10 spheres correspond to the 10 koyachos by us, has an internality and an externality. So as a result of that, let's take the midah of Chesed. The internality of the midah of Chesed is able to relate to the mind faculty above it, which is the faculty of Das. Das flows into both Chesed and Gevurah. And it answers a question, which maybe you didn't have, but a question that's raised in Chassidus, which is moichim, brains, are characterized by coolness. Like we say, an intellectual. If someone is an intellectual, and we say that about him, he's usually not a verbrannter, hartzidiker yid. He's a mindful, he has a coolness to him or her. Whereas the midos have a flame, a fire, an energy, a passion. How do those 2 worlds get together? That coolness and that heat. They get together because the internality of the heat, which is the midah, has a quality which is able to absorb and relate to up above. And then the externality of the midah is its expression as it is. And so let's say it's a midah of Chesed. The fire of Chesed is the externality of Chesed. The internality of Chesed is its refined ability to have some relationship and to absorb that which comes from above. So that's what we call, and that is the way that's stated in Chassidus is that there's an inter-inclusion, that midos are inter-included in moichin, in brains, and also midos inter-include with each other. There's Gevurah shebe Chesed and Chesed shebe Gevurah. So with that, we'll start today. Ki haseichel shebenefesh hamaskelos, because the intellect of the rational level of the godly soul, that's how I'm translating the expression nefesh hamaskelis. So literally it means the rational soul, which begs the question: are there three souls? The nefesh elokis, the nefesh bahamis, and the nefesh hamaskelis. So I'm just saying the way I've taken it is the rational faculty of the godly soul, because we're going to be talking about the godly soul, and we're going to be talking about the godly soul, the intellect of the godly soul. When that intellectual, rational faculty of the godly soul contemplates and gets deep into ma'od b'gedulas Hashem, into the greatness of Hashem, this is the mindfulness. Mind is now contemplating. As heart is not contemplating, mind is contemplating. And mindfulness, and one's mind is getting deep into understanding, feeling, looking at all the facets of the greatness of Hashem, which express themselves in two main ways. God, that the greatness of Hashem expresses itself in Hashem as His mamalik kol almin, as He fills all worlds, v'soiviv kol almin. And just a brief on that, those of you who've come to us from the Geras HaKodesh and Kuntras Acharai, we explored these terms in very great depth over there. But mamalik kol almin, filling, as when water fills a jug, is the way that brain comes and fills up each of the seven midos. And then that's the function of mamalik kol almin. This is also true of worlds. It says mamalik kol almin, right? The worlds at large also. The distinctiveness of one world from another, Silas from Bria, the distinctiveness is a function of the way Hashem fills it. And then Soiviv Kol Almin is that level of encompassingness, all circlingness. It's called Makif, encircling, the way that Hashem is equally present everywhere. Hashem is equally present in every aspect of the creation, otherwise the creation couldn't have any existence. So just like a clod of dirt is extant, so the world of Atzilus is extant in existence. And that's the transcendent or Soiviv Kol Almin. And again, raise your hand as we go if you have any questions. So, just as the mind contemplates the greatness of Hashem, how it is that Hashem fills all worlds, encompasses all worlds, and the mind is contemplating how really everything is nothing in front of Hashem. So a midah is born from that. Because as I said, the internality of the midah, the panemius of the midah, is designed to be able to interface to the moichi, to the brain. So a midah is born from that. Noil devenis oris midas yiras haremamas b'moichi. A midah is born from that. And what's the midah? It's called yiras haremamas, which will translate exalted awe, a sense of the exaltedness and the awesomeness of Hashem b'moichi. So it's a midah shebemoyach, a feeling that exists and coupled with brain, with mind. It's a midah. A midah, in this case, it's the midah of yira in the brain. Midah shebemoyach. That's what it's called in Hebrew. The midah as it is in the brain. And it descends from there into your own thought, and creates a feeling, an attribute, a passion, an arousal of the heart, which is in this case that we're focusing on, is liyura ilis baishis b'gedulas Hashem, to be afraid, in awe of. It's just amazing. It's too big for me. It's awesome to me, and that creates a feeling of humility in the presence of the greatness of Hashem. Hashem's greatness is something I can't fathom. That I can't fathom, it creates a midah of awe. And we'll see also, it creates a feeling of trembling. And there's two sides of awe here. I'm under Niagara Falls. It's awesome, right? It's overwhelming. It's going to, you know what? Who knows what? And that's a sense of pachad. Then there's a sense we say even in English, especially today, colloquial. Oh, it's awesome. Man, that's an awesome, I had such an awesome experience. Or he's such an awesome person, which is a positive way of looking at awe. And they're both sides. You can look at awe from both sides. So on the one hand, it's awesome, it's overwhelming. And that overwhelmingness creates a feeling of humility in the face of it from the sheer greatness, the gedulas of Hashem Yisborach. She'ein lo seif v'tachlis. That greatness of Hashem has no end, and it goes on forever, and it has no end point. And that arouses pachat Hashem b'liboy, the fear or the dread. So this is what I call the fish out of water syndrome. The fish out of water syndrome. The fish knows that the water is the source of his or her life, and is afraid to leave that because that fish knows that that he'll die or she'll die if she's apart from it. So that creates a sense of fear to be apart from it. At the same time, it creates a sense of awe at the awesomeness of this ocean that I'm in, and the sense that it's just overwhelming. And overwhelming, as I said, can be in two respects. Overwhelming, I'm afraid of its power, and overwhelming, as we'll see soon, I want to be enjoying with that power. I want to participate in that power. V'shuv yislahe, and this is the second side. And after that, pachad, for shuv afterwards comes yislahav liba ba'ava, oza. That creates a strong love. I want to be part of the awesome, of the awesomeness. And that creates, so this is a fear, starts with fear or awe, depending on which way you're looking at this word yira. It's both. And that fear of love it creates a sense of wanting to join it and to be part of it, which is an ava oza, strong love. So we have here now ava sheba yira, or yira sheba ava. It's really ava sheba, the love which is born from yira, the inter-inclusion of fear and love. So this creates an ava karish be'esh, a love like a flaming fire. With all kinds of words of desire, longing, and passion for, which is a yearning. It's a nefesh hakeka, a yearning of the soul, ligadulas ein sof baruch hu, a yearning for to be included in the greatness of the Infinite One, blessed be He. The He klois hanefesh, and this is called the expiration of the soul. The Kasiv is written, David HaMelech, a few psukim now from David HaMelech. Nichsefo v'gam kolsa nafshi. So my soul, nichsef kesef, from Lashon kesef, like silver, like shimmering, shiny silver. And kolsa, and expiration. My soul is burning, flickering, and it expires to you. It wants to go up to you, to that awesome, fearful, awesome oneness, which is larger than anything I can comprehend, and therefore creates a bittul, a humility in me. Ukasiv, and David HaMelech also writes, Soma nafshi lelakim, my soul thirsts for God. Ukasiv, Soma lecho nafshi, and he says, my soul thirsts for you. Now, thirsting is when you're dry, but Simon whom you saw the eish. So thirsting is a dryness. The dryness, when you dry something out, comes from the fundament of fire. Simoin, thirst, yearning, right? I want. That's a gavura. It's a power, like the gavura of a fire on a log. You see, it's strong. The more wood you give it, the stronger it gets. The more powerful it gets, the more power, illumination, the power aspect of Gevurah versus the other, there's a strictness side of Gevurah also, din and judgment, but here we're focusing on like Shimshon HaGibor, the power of Gevurah, comes from the fundament of fire, Sheba Nefesh, Elokis, of the godly soul. Ukamashikosev HaTivoim, as the naturalists write, the natural scientists write, V'kein hu be'etz chaim, and so it is also in the language, in the Kabbalah of the Eitz Chaim, She'esoid ha'esh, that the fundament of fire, right, there are four fundaments: fire, earth, air, and water. The fundament of fire is in the heart. And the source of water and wetness and dampness is in the brain. So again, back to what I said at the beginning, you have the warmth of the fire and the coolness of the dripping water of the brain. Yet the two of them get together because Hashem has designed all of the spheros and all of the powers in a manner of Hiskalalus, at least in the world of Tikkun that we live in. This is not the case in Tohu, but in the world of Tikkun that we live in, each of and every koyach interincludes the other. So there's the mayim, the source coming, the water coming from above, and the fire coming up from the brain down, and the water and the heat coming up from the heart get together. And the heart desires to be included in the allness. And the heart is on fire for that. So this is the power of Eish in the heart, and Makar HaChaim Beluchos in the brain. Because V'etz Chaim, as is written in Eitz Chaim, Shar Gimel. If you look it up, chapter 3. Or is it Nun? It's a Nun. Shehi Bechinas Chochma. Chochma is the root source of the brain, right? The Chochma, then Bina, then Das. And Chochma, Shenikra Mayim Shebenefesh, is called, of the Nefesh Elikish. Chochma is called the water of the godly soul. The Shar HaMidos and the other Midos, Kulun Hein Anfehir, and now back to the Midos, all the other Midos, we were focusing here on love and fear, right? How, and it's interesting that the order that he takes it in. First comes the fear or the awe, and translated, as I said earlier, both dread of, and then awesome, yearning to be included in the awesomeness of everything, right? And that yearning is the love. So the pachad brings out a yearning. The gevura brings out a chesed, right? So this is chesed of gevura. So they're branches, and the point is they interoperate with each other, and they're ultimately unified. And that's the function of Tikkun, to bring opposites together. It's the whole function of the world of Tikkun, to take the dark and reveal the light, to take the klippas on the left side and reunite them to the right side of Kedusha, because in the world of Tikkun, the nature, the subliminal nature of everything is that they're all designed to be included one with the other, inter-inclusion. So the water of the Nefesh Elokis and our midos, kulam hein anfei hayir v'av. All the midos now are branches of fear and love. Right? We have a right side and a left side. We have on the right side we have Chesed, and we have Netzach. On the left side we have Gevur and we have Hod. So they branch down. So we have love and fear and love and their offspring. Mishikosu b'Machamachers is written in another place. Akiva, somebody had his hand up. Akiva had his hand up, but he took it down.
I did. I just,
Akiva, go ahead.
If I may, there's a nice note in the Lessons in Tanya that might be helpful distinguishing Pachad and Yira.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just read what it says. It says Yira means an awe which is felt for the most part intellectually, the Chachma, the brain, and Pachad denotes a dread which is felt emotionally in the heart. This also deals with the interaction between the two, but that they do have separate meanings.
Good. I like the English word dread because I can feel my heart dread. Something drumming about it. Drumming, dread. Yeah. Good, thank you. The Hadas, so we have these two midos, Chesed and Gevura, which interinclude each other. And in Panemius, they are able to get interincluded with the lowest levels of the mind faculty, which is Das. V'das hu meloshin ha'odam yoda, as chava. The word Das, meaning knowledge, at root, we learn the meaning from it, from its initial or original place in the Torah, which is Odom Nu Chava. So what's that knowledge? That's hiskashrus. The two of them were tied together. Who the lashon hiskat, das ties together. Chochma and Bina, and it's the unifying point which both Chesed and Gevurah look up to. So Chochmah and Bina look down to Das and tie themselves together there, and Chesed and Gevurah look up to Das and tie themselves together there. So this is Das. So Das is connected, is the intellectual attribute which is full of emotion, it's the water full of fire. The two opposites inter-included, not in a way of canceling out each other, but complementing each other. Loshen hiskashus v'hischavus, joining together. Shemekasher daito. Now Sarah has her hand up. Yeah. Sarah, your hand is up.
Right, I had to unmute myself. Also, just a little beautiful thing. This is from Rabbi Miller's Tanya. He says, the crucial step, let me put my phone closer. The crucial step which generates feelings that are real and sustainable is Das. I use my Das by personalizing an idea, sensing how it is relevant to me and my life experience.
Great. Thank you. Beautiful. And that's called hiskashrus, sensing the relevancy of this idea in my daily life and in my heart. Hischabus, joining together. That one ties together one's das with a strong knot, which is very, very strong. And one implants one's thought in a strong way in the greatness of Hashem. It's not just an idea. I thought about it, yeah, I heard about it, I read about it. It's planted in the heart. The greatness of Hashem, of the Ein Sof, is planted in the heart. And when it's a function, when the das, when the two faculties of mind are brought together, coalesced in das, and when das gives its hashpah to the root midos of Chesed and Gevurah, then you're living with it. It's not just something you studied and walked away from. Your mind is tied to it. You can't remove your mind from it, and your heart from it. Because one, even if someone is very, very bright and understands a lot about the greatness of the Infinite and Blessed be He, if one does not tie one's das, and doesn't implant that thought in a strong and continual way, it won't give birth to the midos of Yira and Ava, the true midos of Yira and Ava. It will be like an imagination. So your hand is still up or up again? I guess it's still up. Okay. You can take it down if you're not. Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, so what's the point? I can know a lot and still attach any negative word you want to it, right? I can be very smart. I can even be a chacham, a Talmud chacham, right? Ask me anything in Shas, anything in Hasidus, and I'll tell you all about it, right? But if I haven't strengthened myself so that my brain is influencing my heart, then I have not started on the path of being a Beinoni. Because the Beinoni, in the simple words, we'll see them over and over again, or at least repeat them over again. Machshava, thought, shoilet, rules over the heart. And what we're exploring here is, how is that possible? Again, just briefly, there are two different worlds. The brain is cool, the fire is hot. This is water, this is fire. Water puts out fire, and enough fire can evaporate water. But Hashem has designed these powers to be able to inter-include each other. Now, the simple understanding how that works is because they're all from the singularity of God himself. They're all just expressions from a singularity. And in that point of singularity, there are no opposites. And so even when they're expressed, they carry with them, I'm talking about the 10 powers, the Chabad, Chagas, Nahi, and Nahim, of a soul, or the 10 spheres up above. This is a quality of the world of Tikkun. Each and every one of the 10 spheros, each and every one of the 10 koichos carry with it the power of before integration, the power where there's singularity. Integration happens after the two become separate, they can become integrated. But the power that they have to integrate comes from this point of singularity, which is their origin. This is the world of Tikkun. Every single piece of Tikkun, of the world we're in, carries with it a piece, if you could say so, of the Ein Sof, the infinite. And in the infinite, there are no opposites. So therefore, they can include each other. And if a person hasn't included his or her studies and knowledge with his or her heart, then you haven't yet made a tikkun. You haven't infused and included one with each other. And therefore, the knowledge that you have, and you may know a lot about this, here I am talking so much about this, but if I haven't mekashed it in my heart, it's dimuna shov. It's just a nice imagination. It's a nice dream, right? But we're here to wake up from the dream of Gullus, right? And bring the reality of Geula. And this faculty, this interoperation ability is one of the faculties that express Geula, that the yesh, the stuff of life, can express the Ein Sof. The infinity is, as the poet says, the infinity is you can hold infinity in the palm of your hand. Godliness and physicality are not contradictory. On the contrary, they're designed so that that physicality can express godliness through this power of inter-inclusion. And if you haven't got there yet, okay, or if you're just an intellectual, so then the knowledge that I just said, I just spewed out a bunch of information, is just the minius shov. It's just an imagination. Real kain hadas hu kiyum hamidos. Das is the key. Das is the integrated point. Das integrates mind in a single point, and das transfers that integration of Chochmah Bina Das into the heart. So the mind can be on fire, and the heart can be infused with ideation, with intellectualization, knowledge of the heart. Says Zohar says, Bina liba. Bina is the heart. Bina is a mind. How can Bina be the heart? Because Bina, because of this interoperability, inter-inclusion, Bina can makasher itself in the heart. Bohalev mevin. That's the end of the Zohar, and the heart comes to understand. The brain comes to feel, and the heart comes to understand. So this is the integration. And that is Yoyle Benafsha Yirava Ava Amitis. If you're Makasha the Das, then the mind will be tied to the love, the love and awe, the awe and the love in your heart in a true way. Kihim Dimin Shav, in a true way. And there will be Kiyam Hamidos, and there will be a fulfillment. The midos will be energized by the moichin, who koilo chesed gevora, and these midos of course include chesed and gevora, which means chesed is ava, chesed is the sphera, the expression of the sphera of chesed is love, and its branches down to netzach, etc. And yira, which is the sphera or the koyach, its expression is gevora. Gevora is the sphera, and its expression is yira, and its branches. And that's today's Tanya, a lesson in interoperability of the powers of the soul. Again, not to lose, let's always coming back to the point, what it was, so what? Because we are learning, as I said earlier, if we are here to do battle with the forces of darkness and to release the spirits of light, the force of light, we have to know what equipment we have, what powers we have, what ammunition we have, whatever metaphor you want. And so the Tanya is now leading us on a journey of meticulous discovery of the capabilities that we have in our soul. So any questions or comments? Yeah, Aliza.
Yeah, so the Tanya's for everybody, but some, like the concepts, some of them are so deeply intellectual and deep that I'm just thinking how a simple person, meaning myself, like how does everybody able to grasp these concepts and actually use them? It seems like impossible.
Well, let's take one. Listen, we'll take one concept that we learned today, that the mind can influence the heart and vice versa. Now, is that a complicated thing? To know that what you meditate and think about is designed to influence the way you feel? And if you're meditating properly, contemplating properly, it should, because you're capable of that. So I'm just asking, is that?
Yeah, I'm saying like just using the front part of your brain, basically.
Yeah, I think that what you're saying, and I think it's true, that look, there have been many books, like someone cited Chaim Miller's book today, right? Many, many books, the purpose of which, of many of them, is to do what you said, to take this somewhat complicated language or high-level language and bring it down. That's what I'm trying to do also in these classes. And it's a process, and it's a process that you really have to work on. No, but do know, and this is the point one point I want to bring you that we leave with just before we leave, that you're capable of it. You're capable of taking this language and bringing it down in such a way that you understand it. Now, how do you do that? As I said, there are many books on the subject. There are many people you can talk to. I mean, I myself, big deal. When I don't understand something and I can't find it in a book, I go talk to other people who've been learning Tanya even longer than I have. The same with all of Hasidus, because we need to know that it's digestible, usable, understandable. And if we haven't yet, we just need to get, the Alter Rebbe said this in the beginning of in the introduction, right? Everything I've written here you may not understand, but go find other people who do understand and ask them about it. And he said very particularly to them, and you people who I'm asking you to, and I'm sending other people to you, do not be falsely modest and say, hey, I don't understand anything. So the ultimate way of understanding this is a verbringen. Bring to the table what we don't understand and let's verbring about it.
Right.
Rivka, your hand is up. No? Okay,
sorry, here I am. Connected with the question on the table is the sense that we get from what we read today is that it's work. It's an effort. You have to, I mean, there's you have to make that connection. The connection is not necessarily so obvious and natural, but that's right. The work. That's what we do. We feel something and we think about it. We think about something and we feel it, and we try and bring it into action, into that, into and relate it to what's going on. It requires work and self-awareness and integration. It's a process, ongoing process, but it requires effort. That's all.
Let me say this about it's a good point. It's an amazing point. But the point, put it this way: if someone gave me a bunch of parts of things and said, I want you to work on this until you get it's supposed to be a locomotive, let's say. If you don't have the right parts, you'll never get a locomotive, no matter how much work you do. The Tanya is telling us about the right parts. We have the right parts. You should know that your brain is meant to interface with your heart, and your heart to interface with your brain. And that's a holistic human, a complete human. Now, to your point, but you have to work on it. But initially, it should give you some sense of confidence that I've got the right kit. And with that kit, I can put myself together and I can ultimately put the world together. Sarah.
That was
All
very
right.
nice. I like that integration that you just did. I was going to comment on what Sharifka said. My question is either you or anybody who's on today on the call, what would be something daily, or let's say even once weekly, we could do, what people would suggest as a practical practice? Because this concept of deepening the das, the intensity, the connection, so that you come to a point of awareness, you come to a point of the connection between the heart and the mind and the heart. It's all in this place of das. Das is a complex, it's complex. So I want to hear, like, what do people do? You know, there must be like many actions, many things one can do that helps that intensity to become sustainable, because that's really
Okay.
what we're.
Beautiful. That's the Bechein. That's what we're after. What is the so what? Rivka, you're up. Somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. For me, for just me, I think being conscious of Hashgacha Pratis is something that I try and do every day, and to see Hashem in action in my life, and with gratitude, and I'm feeling the closeness, and I'm understanding the closeness, and it's something that brings it all together. And sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes at night, or both, to consciously say thank you for this and that and the other thing, and just being connected like that. For me, it's very personal and very powerful, and keeps me connected. So that's a practical thing, I think.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ubechein, what's anybody else? How I mean, it's probably the important question. I've got the awareness that these parts all fit together, right? That's what the Tanya is telling me. How do I make them fit together?
I try to take a few moments every few hours or so to do something mindful, and actually really be present, which is a really big struggle for me, to be present. And also the gratefulness thing that Rivka said. I feel like that's a key to look at what I'm being grateful for rather than looking what's wrong.
Beautiful. I'll tell you something I do. It's from the other side. When I feel myself in a state of anxiety or nervousness, call it cognitive dissonance, that makes me realize I'm off track. And I just stop when I can, and I think about it, and just get present, which I think is similar to what you were saying, Lisa. Just get present. And if one gets present, one can feel oneself calm down, so that you're not in the past or the future, you're in the present. Anybody else? This was beautiful. Okay.
That's interesting what you said. It can come from either gratitude or the opposite, or feeling bad. You know, either way can lead you there, which is very cool.
All right, this is great. We'll have lots more to talk about as we go further. Have a wonderful rest of day or beginning of day, depending where you are.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.